Good morning. Happy Easter, happy 420, which is way more important. It is Monday, the day after 420. So 421, National Drug Test Day, as I've seen a couple posts on Facebook say. But I've had a request to do a video from Mark Goku uh, on maximum wage. And I'm just a little bit hungover. I have not only a vodka alcohol, a slight hangover, but a Benadryl and allergy hangover because I apparently am allergic to air. But the idea that's going around, of course, the minimum wage increase, which I think is a fine idea. People aren't being paid enough to survive. Back in the day, back in the 50s, or pick a time, you could survive, have a household, have a family, have a vehicle, and work one job. You could have a one-income family and survive. And that has changed, not because work has changed, not because people are doing less or the dollar's valued less. I mean, there's a lot of things you could blame it on, but it is clearly, when you look at the numbers, that the wealthy are taking a larger and larger chunk of the profits and squeezing more and more from the workers. So you get the workers that make the same amount every year, pretty much, and then you get more productivity, more technology that allows them to do more work and sell more product for cheaper. And they're not seeing any of the returns on that. The business owners and the corporations are taking more and more, or taking all the profits and sitting on it like a big dragon on their gold, and not contributing to their workers. And their workers are having to rely more and more on welfare, which the wealthy hate because it comes out of their taxes, when they should, of course, be paying their employees from the profits that their employees are making them. So my whole issue with raising the minimum wage is, what the minimum wage idea is, and I forget who had this comedy skit, but that tells you, if you're making minimum wage, you're making what the least amount a corporation can legally pay you. They think so little of you, they're paying the least amount allowed by law to pay you to work for them. Well, I think that's pretty shitty. And just so you know, I'm walking the walk and talking the talk. My business, I own with my wife a professional massage center, and we take 35% of the percentage, and the therapists take the rest. And we take that to mainly keep the center open, pays the overhead, the upkeep of the tables and paper towels, soaps. We pay the software people to do our front sales software. So most of what we make in our percentage goes into just running the business, and it was set up to pay the therapists as much as they could possibly be paid and still keep the center open. So we have geared our business towards the employees, towards the therapists. Other companies, and I'll pick on Walmart here, they pay their employees as little as possible, to the point where they're below the poverty line and qualify for welfare. I would be embarrassed to even say I was a part of that company as an owner or a shareholder, because that's inhuman, and you're projecting the idea that you don't give a damn about those peons that are uneducated and doing nothing. They don't work as hard as I do because I'm the owner, blah, 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 blah. I'm so much smarter, I should be paid more. Sure, for some, but you get a minimum wage worker that's busting their ass 8 hours a day, 9 hours. I'm a lot more hours, but you get an average worker busting their ass for 9 hours a day, and you have a CEO that's doing what for 9 hours a day, 8 hours a day, and I always hear the CEOs, well, I'm busting my ass 14 hours a day doing what? What are you doing for 14 hours a day that's that much more valuable? So my rambling. My point or my issue, or what I would like to put forth, and I'm not the only one, is a maximum wage. You can dictate a minimum wage. This is the least allowable by law that you can pay someone. But to me, that's kind of insulting. And if it was true capitalism and Republicans and conservatives were truly for capitalism and for reciprocating and making your business great by making your employees happy and making everybody healthy and healthcare and building everything up so everyone is great and capitalism go, which is bullshit. Capitalism is bullshit from the get-go as far as I'm concerned. I think a mix between socialist and capitalist should be what it is. Highly regulatory, making sure that the workers are paid adequately, and more importantly, the point is that owners and CEOs aren't paid so much more than the employees that there becomes a almost species split, where you have the workers, like we have now, that are poor scum, and the CEOs that are wealthy elites that make all the good decisions, and they're actual hard workers, and they're having to deal with these scumbag workers that are just lazy. See, that kind of, when you have a maximum wage, or when you have owners, CEOs, and the elite taking or making as much as possible out of the corporation or off of the backs of their employees, that's when you get this income inequality, the split. And you get a lot of animosity between the workers that are busting their ass, trying to make a business work and trying to make their life work, and the CEOs who are, like I said, sitting on piles of gold like a dragon and have health care and never worry about food, and they know their rent's going to be paid, and they own their cars, and if they have an emergency, they have enough money to do it, so they don't have any stress about life. Business, there's still stresses, but about basic life, they don't have stress, where the common worker is worried that if they're sick for a week, they're screwed. They could lose their house, they could lose their car. They're living on the edge. I'm living on the edge. Whereas the wealthy don't even have a care for that. They're on to bigger and better things, and I don't think that's right. And I think most people don't think that's right. I'm not against people being wealthy. I want to be wealthy myself. I would love to be there. But I don't want to be wealthy by the blood and tears of others. And I pause this. So the idea for me is, sorry about the interruption, and I've heard other people say it is a maximum wage. I don't believe anyone works or is that much more valuable than someone else. I saw one poll where showing some CEOs were making something like $5,000 an hour, and that to me is ridiculous. You have somebody that's working at $7 an hour and someone that's working at $5,000 an hour. No one is that much smarter, that much more efficient, that much more valuable to a company than somebody else. One human being is not that much more valuable than another human being. So that's where this income inequality, the disparage, as disparagement is in society, what makes people pissed off. Because we're not against, nobody's against being wealthy. Everybody wants to be wealthy, but it's doing it and believing, because the wealthy, the elite, tend to start thinking that they are more valuable as human beings than someone that's not making as much as they are, when they're making so much more than the others. So my suggestion, and a suggestion of others, has been a maximum wage instead of a minimum wage, where you can make, and set it, Mark, you had suggested 100 times more than the worker. That sounds fine to me. That's you, as long as you set a limit. So if you're making 100 times more, you're making a few $100 an hour, $1,000 an hour, something, a lot. You can make a lot, but once you start getting over that limit, I would love to see that it goes back to the employees, the workers. You have a certain percentage that goes back to the business, and that's where it kind of would get sticky, because you could, a CEO or an elite wealthy person could say, well, I'm putting that money back into the business right now, and that's why I need a 10-bedroom mansion and 10 Rolls Royces and a yacht, because that's part of the business. That's not, we all know that's bullshit. So I would love to see a maximum wage, and anything over that go back to the employees that made the money, worked to make that money, that the business owner had the idea for, or had the presence of mind to invest in initially. They're still getting their investment back. They're still making tons of money, and being able to throw it over their heads and dive into it like Scrooge McDuck. They're still making a ton of money, but they don't need to make so much more money that they're making their employees feel like they're another species, because they're not. We're all human, and a little bit friendly. And I know that sounds like total socialism, but the reason we get together as a species is to help each other, not to hinder each other or to pull our own selves up by our own bootstraps and work. No, we get together to help each other. That's what society is. Human beings come together because they want to help each other and they want to support each other. And it's not until you get this income inequality and this vast difference of ideas of who's better than the other that you start getting this separation. Anyway, hopefully I can splice these two videos together and it's not too long, and I'm going to end. I'm going to have lunch. Peace.